Hi, Butch. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm good, Neil. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. I'm really excited to talk to you. I've done a few of these interviews now with cast members from across these films, and your name is mentioned pretty much every single time. So it's nice to finally talk to you.
Well, oh, yeah, well, you're welcome.
So
Are they
let's
scared of me or something?
let's go back to the beginning on the Long Halloween. How did the idea come about to adapt this one, and why was now the right time to do it?
Um, well, again, mainly it was we had a roundtable meeting with DC Comics and Warner Brothers Animation and Home Video, and I joined in with Bruce Timm, James Tucker, and a few other guys, and we were discussing what Warner Home Video definitely wanted, which was they had a list of their top 10 home videos that they wanted, that the fans wanted released or made into animated movies. And on top of the list was Long Halloween. At the time, no one really wanted to work on it because they figured they've already mined stuff from the storylines and they were also doing their own uh, versions of things that weren't, so they didn't want to go back and adapt verbatim the Long Halloween book.
Okay.
So after that meeting, I just said, look, if they don't want to do it, I'll do it. And that's why it was handed to me.
Okay.
So,
So
so
you've
really, the only reason it actually got done was
yeah.
because I said I'd do it.
Well, having watched
Otherwise,
part one,
it would have sat there,
I'm glad that you did.
yeah, come on. Yeah, it could have sat there another 10 years
Wow.
without anyone touching.
Now
It's
does
not
feel like
yours.
the right time. It just, I don't know what it is about it, but it does something about it feels like the right time for this, and it works so well in watching it. I'm really excited to see what comes from part two. But obviously, you've got Chris Palmer and Tim Sheridan back together, who'd worked together on Superman: Man of Tomorrow. How was it working with them on another animated project?
Yeah, no, I mean those two I got involved first on Long Halloween. We did that before we did Man of Tomorrow. Man of Tomorrow was done later. We
Hmm.
ended up I hired those guys to get in Long Halloween, not and that's where we were going to continue forward. But what happened was production. I ended up finishing almost the whole movie, for part one, and then we got shelved because Matt Reeves and Warner Brothers felt that they were going to probably adapt Long Halloween into the next Batman movie. So
Ah,
we had
okay.
to be, but it didn't. Eventually, they decided they're not adapting it, and we can move on with clearing Long Halloween for release. So that's why actually it's released now. It was probably supposed to be released in the beginning of 2020. So
Wow.
but we had it shelved for a couple of years almost, and
Uh,
then I had to finish part one and part two in the last 8 months to get them ready for release.
And I spoke with Tim last week, and he mentioned that originally there were plans for it to have been just one movie rather than two. Can you talk a little bit about
Yeah.
making the decision to split it into two different films?
Yeah, I mean, this happened mainly because one, I was only in it to do one film because I wasn't part of the DC animated universe, and eventually I felt, well, okay, I'll do the movie, and then I'm probably have to go back to doing a TV production on something. Which initially at the time we had a DC Access pitch that we were going to do a Batman animated series, me and him and Chris Palmer.
Okay.
That's what but that ended up just going away, and we would because I told Tim and Chris, well, we have to do Long Halloween first before we get that possible series. But that series never happened. So then Tim decided, you know what, I can't adapt Long Halloween into one movie. It's got to be two at least. And he wanted three.
Oh,
But
wow.
I said, yeah, I said we can do two. I can't do three. It's too much for me. But so I think there was enough material there absolutely for two movies. And then if we needed to do anything that we didn't put in the movie, we could have put it as a side short to expand things, which we were planning on doing, to do a couple of shorts, but those things got put aside because we didn't have the money for that eventually. So yeah, that's the reason it ended up 2 movies as opposed to one.
That's really interesting. It's interesting that you say it could have been 3 movies. Two feels really right for me, considering it's kind of sort of 360, 370 pages. It feels like a nice kind of space to breathe with the story over 2 films. When it comes to the kind of the original book, obviously the artwork by Tim Sale is something that's really iconic when it comes to this trilogy of Jeff Loeb stories across Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Was there a time during the development on Long Halloween that you looked at maybe more directly adapting that art style?
Yeah, there was. I mean, initially that's what my plan was, and I was because of Dark Victory, where Tim kind of worked out his style fully at that point. That's the books that I was gonna use as the basis of the style, because I thought at that point he found his Batman the way he wanted him to look, and certain other elements of the characters. And eventually I was going to call Tim to see if he wanted to draw some things out, and we could work out, see how it would fit or work for animation. But unfortunately things changed with the DC Animated Universe. James Tucker was ending his run, and they asked me to continue to create a new shared universe starting with Batman on Halloween. So I ended up having to scrap Tim's style, not all the way, but I had to gear something that was going to fit some other stories and things that I was going to need to do to continue on into other movies. So that's why, and I also wanted to get a kind of European look about it. So I found Otto Schmidt.
Yeah. Yep.
Who's a good artist online, a great comic book artist, and his stuff I felt was, it's got that look and feel where you can definitely animate it too. So, and it's something I can carry through more towards other, DC storylines and things.
I really enjoyed Otto Schmidt's work on Green Arrow. His Green Arrow comics are some really, really beautiful books to read.
Yeah, they're nice. Yeah.
You've got a long history of working with DC, and Batman in particular is very much part of your legacy of working with DC. What brings you back to working with these characters kind of time and time again?
Well, again, it's a matter of at the time, because no one wanted to work on Batman Long Halloween, and that's always been, it's been one of my favorite books and stories over the years, and I felt, it still hasn't been adapted. So everyone's just kind of picked little storylines or ideas out of it, but they never actually took the whole story in context and saw that the absolute value of it as a full storyline and movie, because it's Batman trying to become Batman, in his second year, and he's not exactly there yet. So that's the appeal, is going back to being able to do a Batman that isn't fully formed yet.
Yeah.
But he's still got his own problems with how he deals with things.
Are there any other Batman stories that you feel haven't been mined very well yet, or maybe not very well, but kind of in full when it comes to either animation or live action that you'd like to have a go at?
Yeah, I mean, right now they have been. I mean, but there's certain things I wouldn't mind doing. The Ra's al Ghul storyline from the 70s with Neil Adams and the Demon storyline and all that. Definitely, I wouldn't mind doing that. But also Dark Victory was on top of one. To continue and do that would be great.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see that. I feel like for maybe some fans that aren't as adept with the source material, they maybe know Long Halloween but haven't had chance to go through the rest of what Jeff Loeb told in those stories, and it would be amazing to see that brought to life as well.
No, it would be a good idea if even someone wanted to do it as a series. It would be better.
So what can fans look forward to in part 2 of the story when it comes out?
Well, I mean, the continued mystery of finding out who the holiday killer is, and the twists and turns of events that causes Batman to wonder where he is as far as a detective, and obviously Harvey Dent's slide into wherever he's going. Little things like that, of course, and also where the storyline takes us, which I think people will know when they see the teaser at the end of the credits.
Yep.
Of who else is. Well, also the trailer shows that too. I mean, it shows up where the Scarecrow and Mad Hatter and quite a few of the Rogues Gallery comes into the storyline.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the Rogues. It's really nice to see new versions, new designs for these characters as well. I really like what you did with Joker in this film, so it's going to be great to see what you do with the others.
No, thanks. I mean, that was like with us and Otto trying to figure out, well, how are we going to adapt Tim Sale's version of that Joker with the 1,000 Teeth?
Yeah.
It was tough, but
yeah,
but definitely Otto went for that Dickinson look because it was Christmas time and Joker showed up, so he did the Dickensian look of the Joker's, pants and long legs and all that. So that helped. I mean, and he hit it on the head, and even doing the curly cues on the side of his hair and everything. And it's a different version of Joker, but it looks pretty nice on screen.
Yeah, it does. It works really well on screen. Now, I'm sure there's probably not much that you can say in terms of what's next after this, but is there anything you can tease about the future of this kind of new version of the animated universe?
No, nothing other than we're moving forward and expanding from where we're at. So.
I'm really excited to see where it goes next. I have to say, I really enjoyed Man of Tomorrow, and I think Justice Society is probably one of my favourite DC animated movies of all time, as is now Long Halloween. It's one of my favourite stories. So I'm really excited to see what comes next for these characters.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I really love Wonder Woman, Justice Society too. I just wish I could do other movies of it, No, thanks.
Stan Akatic did an amazing job voicing Wonder Woman, so it would be great to see her come back and do some more with that version of the character. It would be very exciting.
Oh, yeah. We'd love that. That would be great.
Brilliant. That is all my questions. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today. I cannot wait for people to finally get to watch this film and see part 2 and see how it all comes to an end.
Yeah, no, me neither. I mean, again, it's nice that we're releasing it a little closer to, back to back, as opposed to waiting another year to part 2,
I was saying to Tim just the other day that part 2 is actually releasing on my birthday, so it's one of my favourite stories on one of my favourite characters releasing on my birthday. So I really can't ask for much more at this point.
Right, well, great.
Wait till you see part 3.
Yeah.
What?
The mysterious part 3. What happens next? There's an extra twist.
Well, if there was, it was a dark victory. So if there is ever.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, guys.
Right.
I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Neil.
thank
We'll
you.
talk to you later.
Thanks, Gary. Bye.
Sure. See ya. Tom, are you on?
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?